Khan, Shalom Makyam, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. Double honors to the other apostles of great Millstone who teach and rule well, and Shalom to the sincere Akyam, spreading truth and sincerity. Shalom. In this video, I want to go a little bit more in depth concerning the word month and the word week. The first word that I want to go into is the word month in the online etymology dictionary, which that goes into the study of the root of the word concerning what is the meaning of a word and what is its origin. So let's dive into it. So this is the word month. It says 1/12 part of a year, and that's according to the current calendar that we have been given in this day and age, by the so-called white man, the one that we have right now. And if you go a little bit more in depth, you come to find out that there are actually 13 moons in a year, roughly paraphrasing. Let me look it up. How many moons a year? So here it says, are there 13 moons in a year? Here it says there are actually 13 moons each year. But it says, but most cycles follow a 12-month calendar. And that's the calendar that we have been given, correct, by the Roman Catholic Church. And here it says that the Gregorian calendar is the one that we use right now, and it was introduced in October 1582 by Pope Gregory XIII as a modification of and replacement for the Julian calendar. So it says the principal change was to space leap years differently so as to make the average calendar 365 point something days long, more closely approximating the tropical solar year determined by the Earth's revolution around the sun. So that's the calendar that we have right now. But according to the scriptures, we do understand that the month is determined. Well, let me say it differently, that the beginning of the month is determined according to the moon, and to be more specific, according to the new moon. So if you read on, it says month 1/12 part of a year. One of the 12 parts into which the calendar years arbitrarily divided. It says which is related to man and moon. Originally, the month was the interval between one new moon and the next. So this is what it originally was, and we understand through the scriptures that this is how it's supposed to be kept and understood. It also says in what is it, Daniel chapter 7 verse 26 or 25, I think it's 26. No, it's 25. It says Daniel chapter 7 verse 25, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. They shall be given into his hand until a time and dividing of the times. And this is referring to how these Edomites, how they are changing the times and the laws. And this video is going into the times. We've been given a certain calendar that this earth is using right now, but the original calendar that we used to observe, the calendar that we should observe according to the scriptures, is based on the moon. So it says that basically was it concerning the word month. So read again. It says originally the month was the interval between one new moon and the next, which we understand that there are 4 Sabbaths kept between one new moon and the next, and the month from one new moon to the next is a little bit longer. So that means that throughout, the year, the Sabbath changes, um, every couple of days. Like, um, for instance, what we have right now during this month is the Sabbath starts at Sunday evening, Monday evening, sundown, you know, because the day is calculated from sundown till sundown. And the next one, the apostle Roundup, he brought it out today, in a video. He posted a video. Let me see where it is. Concerning the new moon days. The next one that we ought to observe is the one which starts June 28th, Tuesday evening to Wednesday evening, sundown. You see, so the month, is a little bit longer than 28 days. So this is Sirach chapter 43 and verse 6. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. So the moon also has been given a certain purpose by the Heavenly Father. But one of the purposes is to be a declaration of times. So throughout the month, from one new moon to the next, you can see that the moon is basically changing. It's like waxing on and waxing off. But according to that, you're able to determine what time it is of the month. You see, if you have a full moon, that means that you're halfway, through the month. You see, and then as the new moon appears, then it's gonna go back, to it's gonna decrease. So with when you have the new moon, that basically there's nothing to see. But throughout the first 3 weeks, it starts to increase. Then you have the full moon, and after that, it start to decrease, in which it's gonna diminish in size again. And then the new month after that, starts with the new moon. You see, but according to that, you're able to determine, how far you're into the month. Verse 7, from the moon is the sign of feasts, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. And one of the examples that you can grab is the one in what is it, Exodus chapter 12. Let me see, because Exodus chapter 12 verse 6, it says, this is concerning the Pesach, but it says, and ye shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. So if you have a month determined, by the moon, you only have to count, 14 days after that in order to establish, when the Pesach is going to start. You see, so based upon the moon, you're able to calculate that. And this is just one example of a feast that is determined according to the moon. Knowing when the month starts, and so forth, so forth. Verse 8: the month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. You see, so in verse 7 it says that it decreases, but it also says in verse 8 that it's increasing. That's what happens during the month. But verse 8 also says the month is called after a name. So the month is called the month because the word comes from the word moon. You see, that's one thing that I want to bring out concerning the word month. That the month that we are supposed to observe, is based upon the moon, which is from one new moon into the next. The next thing that I want to go into is the word week, and there are a couple of ways that it's pronounced in other languages, but I want to go to the second paragraph where it says, meaning primarily change or alteration. The word may once have denoted some earlier time division, such as the change of the moon half month, but there is no positive evidence of this. That's what they say. They say that there's no positive evidence of this, but why else would you bring this information out? So on the one hand, you're saying that it's correct. It's information that's out there. In the other way, you're saying it like, there's no evidence for it. You know what I mean? So for go on in the same paragraph, it says no evidence of a native Germanic week before contact with the Romans. It says the 7-day week is ancient, probably originating from the 28th-day lunar cycle, divisibly into 4 periods of 7 days, at the end of each of which the moon enters a new phase. It says reinforced during the spread of Christianity by the ancient Jewish 7-day week. So here again, we get the understanding that the week that we have, the 7 days, is also biblical. And we understand that that's biblical because the Most High says, 6 days shall thou work, but the seventh shall be shall thou keep holy and shall be the Sabbath unto you. But this is information that's being brought out that links the 7-day week also to the lunar calendar, to the lunar cycle. You see, it says the 7-day week is ancient, probably originating from the 28th-day lunar cycle. You see, which that basically goes into the 4 Sabbaths, and then the next then the next new moon is gonna pop up. It says divisible into 4 periods of 7 days, at the end of each of which the moon enters a new phase. You see, reinforced during the spread of Christianity by the ancient Jewish 7-day week. You see, so that's 2 times, the word month and the word week, that are related to the lunar calendar or the lunar cycle. You see. I want to grab a scripture in which it says, the word week, which is associated to the number 7, and this is concerning our forefather Jacob, who went to acquire a wife, with let me say differently, who went to his uncle to acquire a wife, on his mother's side, and eventually when he got there, he had to work 7 years, for them, So this is Genesis chapter 29 verse 26, and Laban said, "This must not be done so in our country, to give the younger before the firstborn," because when Jacob saw Rachel, he liked her more than Leah, but Leah was the firstborn. It says, verse 20, "Fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve me yet 7 other years." So he wanted Rachel. Let me go a little bit up. So let me go to Genesis 29 verse 18. "And Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter." So he offered Laban, to work for him 7 years to, receive the hand of his daughter Rachel. And eventually he did. But once that time was there, Laban basically was like, no, you can't have her because we're supposed to give Leah first according to the custom. So reading on, it says, verse 19, "And Laban said, It is better that I give her to thee than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and days seemed unto him but a few days for the love he had to her. And Jacob said unto Laban, Give me thy wife, for my days are fulfilled that I may go into her." So after the 7 years, he told Laban, "Hey, give me my wife, because I did what I promised you, and I served 7 years for her. Verse 22. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. So after the feast came, instead of Rachel, he gave her Leah and he had sex with her. And we understand through the scriptures that sex is marriage. So now he has Leah as his wife. And Laban basically, was a schemed him, like that. Because he worked for Rachel, but he was given Leah. Verse 24, and Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah his handmaid, for an handmaid. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah, and he said to Laban, What is this that thou hast done unto me? Did not I serve with thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou begot me? Because he tricked him. Verse 26, and Laban said, It must not be done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. For her a week, and he will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. So in order to eventually receive Rachel, he had to work 7 other years. You see. Verse 28, and Jacob did so and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel his daughter to wife also. If you want to read more concerning what happened after that, you can do that yourself. The point that I want to bring out for this lesson is the word week, which, that goes into the 7 years. Because if we read verse 27 again, it says, fulfill her week, which was a certain period of time that he had to work for her. And we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. That was the fulfilling of the week, to serve Laban 7 other years. Let's go to the word 7. Or let me go to the word week, Salakia. If I'm correct, it's Tazaba Y. I'm correct. Alternate biblical usage is the word 7. Period of 7 days or years, heptad week. You see, so the week is associated to the word 7, which, in this day and age, we use the word week to indicate 7-day period from day 1 up to day 7, which right now we've been given a calendar that goes from Monday to Sunday. So yeah, I'm going to bring in a couple of scriptures as well. This is Amos 8 verse 5. And it says, saying, when will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn, and the Sabbath, that we may set forth wheat, making the ephah small and the shekel great, and falsifying the balances by deceit. So Jake back then was already, tricking other people, and scheming them, and being, unfair, when selling goods, because falsifying the balances by deceit, if you, agree with a person that is going to purchase 1 kilo of, for instance, corn. Let's keep it to the scripture. If you wanna buy 1 kilo of corn, what you're gonna do is you're gonna have a weight scale that's supposed to be balanced, and you're gonna put a weight of 1 kilo up there, and then you're gonna weigh the corn, and it's gonna be put on the other side. Yeah, let me see if I can find one. Yeah. So a great example of that would be this. So on one side you would put 1 kilo, in order for the balance to be just. On the other side, there will be an equal amount to balance it out. You see, and what you will be able to do back in the days was the weight that would be 1 kilo. You will be able to for instance, use different metals with a different kind of measurement, or a weight concerning size, or you would be able to scrape off little bit of pieces here and there that to the eye of the beholder, it might not seem that it's 100 gram, but then you will be able to falsify 100 grams out of the person's pocket. Him paying for the same amount that he would pay for a kilo, but actually receiving only 900 grams. You know, so there were tricks, here and there that the people were able to pull off in order to falsify the balances by deceit, by using deceit and trickery. You know, but the point is that our people were so forward in doing that they were, you know, they really wanted the Sabbath, to be gone, to be when is the Sabbath come, and then we are able to, sell forth, wheat again and corn and other things, because it says Amos 8:5 saying, "When will the new moon be gone that we may sell corn?" What day do you know in the scriptures, on which you're not allowed to, put forth any work? That's the Sabbath. You might think that the new moon and the Sabbath are two different things, but they're not. They're, actually based upon the same thing. Because the Sabbath is based upon the moon, and the new moon establishes the new month. This is Exodus chapter 20 and verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall thou labor and do all that work. So our people had 6 days to do all the work that they wanted to do. And in the case of Amos chapter 8 verse 5, 8.5, they were eagerly, wanting the Sabbath, to be gone, to falsify the balances by deceit again and do all that work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord Yahawah, thy power. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. So you could not put forth any work. And selling goods is work. So going back to Amos 8:5, here it talks about the new moon be gone that we may sell corn, which the selling corn goes into work. So they were not able to put forth work, showing you that the new moon, was a Sabbath as well. It says, and the Sabbath that we may set forth wheat, making the ephah small and the shekel great, falsifying the balances by the seed. You see, and these are the things that I want to bring out concerning the word month and the word week, showing you that they are both associated with the moon. You see. So Yahawashi, this lesson was edifying. And with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of great Millstone who teach and rule well, and shalom to the sincere Akim, who furnish truth and sincerity.